In a wide green forest, where sunlight danced through the leaves, there lived a small brown bird named Pip. Pip was a shy bird with soft feathers and bright, curious eyes. Every morning, the forest came alive with songs. Birds chirped, whistled, and sang from every branch. The music of their voices filled the air like laughter. But Pip never sang. He sat quietly on his favorite branch, listening to the others. There was the nightingale, whose song sounded like silver bells. The bluebird sang high, clear notes that made the leaves tremble with joy. The robin's deep tone echoed warmly through the trees. Whenever Pip heard them, his heart felt both happy and heavy. "How beautiful they sound," he whispered. "I wish I could sing like that, but my voice is too plain. No one wants to hear me." And so, every day, Pip stayed silent. The forest was full of life and rhythm. The rustling of leaves, the whispering wind, and the bubbling of streams all seemed to move in harmony with the bird songs. Even the flowers seemed to sway when the music rose in the morning air. But there was a place deep in the woods where the music didn't reach. A quiet corner near a wide riverbank. That's where Pip liked to go. There, he could listen from afar without anyone noticing that he never joined in. Sometimes the other birds invited him to sing. "Pip," chirped the cheerful sparrow, "come sing with us this morning. The air feels wonderful." But Pip would shake his head. "Maybe later," he would say softly, pretending to peck at the ground or fix his feathers. Later never came. He wanted to sing more than anything, but the fear of sounding wrong always stopped him. Once, when Pip was very young, he had sung freely. Back then, his song wasn't perfect. It wobbled and trilled in odd ways, but it made him happy. He remembered sitting on a low branch and singing with all his heart. The sound had made butterflies flutter nearby, and even the old turtle in the pond had looked up and smiled. But one morning, he had tried to sing with the other birds. The nightingale's song had soared, the lark's voice had danced, and Pip's little tune had sounded small beside them. A few young sparrows had giggled. "Pip sounds funny," they whispered. "His song isn't like ours." It wasn't meant to be cruel, but those words had buried themselves deep in Pip's heart. From that day on, he sang less and less, until one day he stopped completely. Now, when he opened his beak, no sound came out. It was as if he had forgotten how to sing at all. One bright morning, the forest awoke with excitement. A light rain had fallen the night before, and the air smelled fresh and sweet. Sunlight sparkled on the wet leaves like tiny diamonds. The birds began their morning songs, calling out to one another. Pip sat on his branch and listened, as always. The forest was alive, and every note was beautiful, except for the space where his voice should have been. That silence sat in his chest like a heavy stone. "I wish I could sing," he whispered again. "But what if I sound wrong?" He lowered his head. That day, Pip decided to fly farther than usual. Maybe a new view would clear his thoughts. He spread his wings and soared over the treetops, feeling the cool wind brush against his feathers. He passed meadows, rivers, and tall pines until he reached a quiet valley he had never seen before. It was peaceful there. No noise, no songs, just the soft hum of the breeze. As Pip landed on a branch near the edge of the valley, he heard something unusual, a faint whimper. He turned his head and saw a small fawn standing near the bushes. It was trembling. Its tiny legs shook, and its big brown eyes were filled with fear. Pip fluttered closer and perched on a low branch nearby. "What's wrong, little one?" he asked softly. The fawn looked around, frightened. "I can't find my mother," it said in a trembling voice. "I woke up and she was gone. I don't know which way she went." Pip looked around too. The valley stretched wide, filled with tall grass and scattered trees. It would be hard for the fawn to find her way alone. "Don't worry," Pip said gently. "But how? You're just a little bird." "I think I can fly up high. Maybe I'll see her from above." He spread his wings and rose into the air, scanning the fields below. But there was no sign of the mother deer, only endless grass and shadows from the drifting clouds. When Pip came back down, the fawn was crying softly. "What if she never comes back?" Pip's heart ached. He wanted to help, but he didn't know what else to do. He sat on a branch and watched as the little fawn trembled. Without thinking, Pip opened his beak and made a sound. Just a tiny hum. It had been so long since he had tried. The sound was soft, uncertain, and a little shaky, but it made the fawn look up. Pip hummed again, this time a little louder. The sound rolled gently through the air like a warm breeze. Slowly, it turned into a melody, simple but sweet. The fawn blinked and took a small step closer. "Your sound! Your sound is nice," it whispered. "Really?" "Yes," the fawn said, its voice calmer now. "Please don't stop." So Pip didn't stop. He sang. At first, the notes came unevenly, but soon they began to flow, rising, falling, weaving through the air. His song wasn't like the nightingales or the larks. It was gentler, lower, like a lullaby. The forest grew quiet as his voice filled the valley. Even the wind seemed to pause to listen. When Pip finished, the fawn had stopped crying. It stood still, breathing slowly, eyes half closed in peace. "That was beautiful," the fawn said softly. "Your song made me feel safe." "Safe?" Pip stared, surprised. "Yes," the fawn nodded. "When you sang, I stopped feeling scared. It felt like someone was telling me everything would be okay." Pip's chest filled with warmth. His song had helped someone. At that moment, a rustling sound came from the far side of the valley. The fawn turned, ears perked. A large deer stepped out from the trees. The mother! "Mother!" cried the fawn, running to her. The mother nuzzled her child with relief. The deer looked up at Pip. "Did you stay with my little one?" "Yes," said Pip shyly. "She was afraid. I just sang to her." The mother smiled kindly. "Then thank you, little bird. Your song brought her calm. You have a gift." Pip's feathers fluffed with pride. For the first time in his life, he believed it might be true. When the deer left, Pip sat quietly for a while, thinking about what had happened. "I sang," he said softly, "and it helped someone." He looked down at his reflection in a puddle below. The small brown bird staring back wasn't much different, but his eyes seemed brighter. Maybe his voice wasn't meant to be the loudest or the fanciest. Maybe it was meant to be gentle, comforting, something that could bring peace. With new energy, he spread his wings and flew back towards his forest home. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. When he reached the forest, the other birds were gathering on the branches, singing their evening songs. Pip landed quietly among them. "Pip!" chirped the sparrow.